It's time for CVM Live, the noon edition. Thanks for joining us. A special welcome to those of you online at cvmtv.com. I'm Michelle Thomas. The threat of the coronavirus was not a fear for some passengers on the Marella Discovery 2. The cruise ship, which docked in Port Royal on Monday, brings more than 1,800 visitors to Kingston. While the virus is spreading globally, passengers tell CVM Live they're not concerned as the cruise line took a cautious approach. Jamila Maitland has that story.
Passengers said the cruise line took extreme precaution in light of the increased reports of the spread of the coronavirus on cruise ships. The government said despite the cruise lines conducting their own screenings, they too will do screenings at the ports. But is the fear of the coronavirus more contagious than the virus itself? The cruise, which started in Montego Bay on February 18, has been out at sea for a week. One British passenger said he completed a form given to him by the cruise line, which questioned his travel history. He was also screened at the airport in London before arriving in Jamaica. However, he said he was not questioned by the authorities at the Donald Sangster International Airport.
Before you get on, you're screened at Manchester to make sure that you've never been ill before you get on the ship. And when you're on the ship, it comes on the television all the time. What you have to do is if you feel any illness at all, feel any flu symptoms or sickness, you've got to stay in your cabin, phone 999 medical emergency, and the medical team will come down, check you over. If there's anything wrong with you, they take you down to the sick bay.
CVM Live spoke to a Jamaican passenger, Wendy, who says before boarding the cruise ship, government officials in Montego Bay questioned her health.
They asked if you have flu-like conditions or any coughing or anything like that, and they let you through. That was it.
A couple explained that while the cruise line took precaution, there is always the fear of the coronavirus and the likelihood of the spread, which increases on a cruise ship. Last week, the quarantine expired for a cruise ship docked in Japan, and several people on board were infected with the virus. 3 passengers have since died. The Royal Caribbean's Anthem of the Seas was also quarantined after passengers developed respiratory illness on board. The couple explained that the Marella Discovery 2 does not sail outside of the Caribbean and Latin America, which may reduce the risk.
We were all sent letters before we left the UK to say where had we been, and if we'd been in the Asia area or the infected areas, we would not be allowed to come on the holiday. So there was a little bit of vetting went on before you got on the ship. So, yeah. But we're all frightened of sneezing in case they lock you up.
Jamila.
Port residents are also questioning the building plans that had been presented for the structure. Khadija Thomas has more in this report.
The Urban Development Corporation, UDC, is yet to provide a response to questions about the downtown Kingston redevelopment plan known as the Yard Transformation Project. Residents who were relocated are waiting for more information on the delay in delivering their new housing. The consulting architect at the UDC was Patrick Stanigar, who had previously said that rooms would be constructed one by one to allow residents to move in and then demolish the old rooms before constructing others. However, that has not been the case. According to this resident, the building plans seen by those who occupied homes along Hanover Street had indicated that the rooms would be larger than they currently are. 3 cannot live in a one-bedroom structure. She believes that the UDC should consider expanding the buildings to suit the varying family sizes.
My bed alone would take up in here. Yeah, and I want fan I'm chaka with a basket then. So this cannot work for me.
Member of Parliament for Central Kingston, Ronald Thwaites, says the original design for the buildings was inadequate.
The remedial steps is going to have to be to extend the size of the studio units to make sure that it is really a habitable alternative to where the people are now.
He says the displaced residents are willing to pay the mortgage for these homes.
People are not asking for free housing, you know. They're asking for housing on terms that they can afford.
He says this is the route government policy must take. Khadija Thomas, CVM Live.
Election temperatures are escalating to boiling point for both political parties. The Jamaica Labour Party is testing the pulse of the people with the Southeast Clarendon by-election, while the People's National Party has focused its attention on the general election, canvassing votes from every nook and cranny across the island. Robin Williams captures the tone of both parties.
All eyes are on the nation's political leaders as the wait for an election date continues. Both parties often take to social media, which is now a scene in political theatre. In the latest act, a video has emerged of PNP supporters allegedly throwing words at JLP campaigners in southeast Clarendon. An apology was issued. Both leaders stand by their positions.
The Jamaica Labour Party is Jamaica's party for the working class. It is Jamaica's party for the poor and struggling. It is Jamaica's party for the upwardly mobile.
The PNP always give better governance, better quality of government.
And it is now final. The PNP has selected Bishop Dr. Purcell Jackson as the party's candidate in the constituency of East Portland in the upcoming general election. Reverend Jackson replaces Damon Crawford, who lost to Anne-Marie Vaz in a by-election for the seat last year. Also, playwright David Tulloh will be running on the PNP's ticket for the St. Andrew Northeast constituency in the next general election, challenging the JLP's Delroy Chuck. Opposition leader Dr. Phillips says his party is on a mission.
Our mission is to put in place a government of the people, a government for the people, a government that put the people's interests first.
While Prime Minister Andrew Holness says his prosperity administration will uplift the country.
We are the 21st century political party of Jamaica. We are the party of modern politics. We are the party that has elevated representational politics in this country.
The political back and forth continues. Robianne Williams for CVM Live.
Handing over of the equipment took place at the hospital's John Homey ICUB classroom recently. Robianne Williams has more.
The Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology at the University of the West Indies Hospital will benefit significantly from the donation of a laparoscopic tower. The vital equipment will be used in surgical diagnostic procedures to examine the organs inside the abdomen. Chairman of the Guardian Group Foundation, Gladstone Lewis, says it is a proud moment to be contributing to the health sector.
From the proceeds of the 2019 5K run, UHWI has received a laparoscopic tower valued, on my notes say $56,000 US. And I did a quick calculation. It is 8 million Jamaican dollars.
Director of the Intensive Unit Operating Theatre, David Walker, in welcoming the donation, says this is a great enabler in women's health.
The procurement of best-in-class and state-of-the-art equipment are the phenomenon that is driving healthcare across the world. And the purchase of this tower will enable the clinicians and other practitioners to better navigate gynae care to patients in a more effective and efficient way.
A member of the Obstetrics and Gynecology Department, Dr. Ian Bambury, sought to explain the usage of the equipment.
We have continued to do most of our operations through an open surgery. What minimal invasive surgery affords is for us to do these surgeries using pinholes. So whereas we don't have to no longer do an incision in the abdomen to take out the uterus or do other things, what this laparoscopic machine would afford us is to operate on these patients using just pinholes.
The equipment will reduce the admission time for patients in hospitals and increase productivity. Robianne Williams for CVM Live.
15 persons will benefit under the agricultural component of the government's socio-economic program for former employees of the Monimusk Sugar Factory in Clarendon. The project seeks to facilitate alternative employment for the displaced workers and their dependents following the closure of the facility in 2018.
5 former employees of the Money Musk sugar factory in Clarendon receiving parcels of land from the Minister of State in the Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries, Floyd Green. These individuals are among a group of 15 displaced workers also to benefit in the area of agriculture. The Sugar Company of Jamaica, SCJ, has provided 164 acres of prime agricultural lands on which they can now raise livestock and plant crops. Chief Executive Officer of Agri-Invest Corporation, AIC, Dr. Alexander Powell, says the lands are to be allocated on a phased basis.
Hard Trust NTA had the heavy task of interviewing 259 former employees, resulting in 15 indicating an interest in crop production.